I now want to talk a little bit about the application process. There's quite a lot of myths around, and it's important to register that what we're trying to do in this whole application process is to get a sense of who you are and whether Cambridge University would be a good place for you to study. The university and the college take a great deal of care over the admissions process, and a lot of thought is given to each decision. All your papers and all your information are thought through very carefully, and no single element is going to make for a successful application. So there will be the teacher reference, there will be the personal statement. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. You may well be asked to submit some written work. There are bound to be some admissions assessments in the process. Your academic record to date is really important, and then there are the interviews. This is a flow chart of the process, so you can get a sense of which stages happen at which point. Please do note the UCAS application deadline, which is the 15th of October. Your personal statement is your opportunity to tell us before interview a little bit about yourself. Try to be reasonably honest and to use your own voice, the kind of writing that you would ordinarily do. We want to know why you've chosen to do the course. That's part of being persuaded that you're really enthusiastic for it. However, it's quite important that you write your personal statement with all your university choices in mind. You have an opportunity in the SAQ to tell us specifically why you might apply to Cambridge. It's worth putting some material in about your extracurricular activities, particularly for those other universities. Cambridge takes relatively little interest in your extracurricular activities at the point of application, though we're immensely supportive of them when you finally turn up. And because this is an academic university, we really want your personal statement to be academic in focus. So 4/5 of it really should tell us about your work, why you're interested in it, what you're doing, and what you would like to do with it in the future. I've read a lot of personal statements over the years, and some of them are very impressive and some of them are quite hard to read. So here are a few things to avoid. Don't copy from other people's, and don't get other people to write your personal statement for you. It's about you, and when it comes to interview, it'll be very clear, I think, if you've had someone else working on it too much. There's probably not a lot of space for quotations unless there's something very specific and short that you need in order to explain how you've got to where you are. Try not to strain for really impressive language. It's much more helpful to us to hear how you ordinarily think and speak, and very impressive language doesn't seem terribly impressive in the cold when it actually turns up on our desks. But conversely, don't try to be too informal. It can be quite difficult to make proper sense of something which is just a list of jokes. And there isn't really a need for a shopping list of everything you've done, a kind of potted biography of your entire life to date. We want to know about you, we want to know about why you're interested in this subject, and we want to know what you can tell us that makes us think that it will be really exciting to teach you that subject in this place. The SAQ is the part of the UCAS form which is specific to Cambridge only, and it allows you to tell us, for example, why you have chosen Cambridge and why you have chosen the specific course that you want to do at Cambridge and what you see within it. It also gives us an opportunity to hear which options you're proposing to do within certain courses. We learn from it more about the detail of the A-level subjects that you've done, which can be helpful when it comes to interview, and there's a photograph so that when you turn up for interview we are convinced that the person being interviewed is the same person as the person who put in the application. At undergraduate level, each college handles its own admission process for almost all subjects, and the precise details of what written work you'll be asked to submit will come to you from the college you've applied to. Bear in mind that whatever you send to us, we will read with interest, and that having read it with interest, we may well ask you questions about it when you come to interview. It's generally speaking something you will have done as part of your sixth form or your A-level work, and we on the whole discourage people from writing stuff, especially for this purpose. It's good to think about what the markers have said about it. It's also very valuable to keep a copy and to read it just before the interview. By that time, it may be work you did really quite a long time ago. And if you're going to be asked questions on it, it's nice to remember what it was you actually said. One important part of the whole admissions process is the additional assessments that we put on. If you are an at-interview assessment candidate, then there will be some time set aside when you're coming up for interview for you to do some work which we can then look at and make part of our eventual admissions decision. The interviews are one of the most distinctive parts of the Cambridge admissions process. That doesn't mean that they are actually the most important. So the point of an interview is to have an academic discussion. They're very much academic in focus. It's not really a matter of finding out information you already have. It's a matter of trying to combine stuff you already know with fresh ideas. They're carried out by lecturers and academics who frequently do supervisions, and in some ways they're meant to be a mini supervision so that we can discover whether you enjoy that style of teaching, whether you like having fresh ideas and having to combine those with stuff you already know. And we can work out whether we think that you would be exciting to teach and a good person to do a degree in this way. The interviews are not very long, they're 20 to 30 minutes, though sometimes people who have been in them feel they've lasted much longer. And we try and combine them into one day if we possibly can. You will be the only person being interviewed at any given interview session. There may be 2 or 3 people there asking you questions. And the chances are that you'll have more than one interview, and possibly even that you might be invited back for further interviews later in the year. And they're also generally likely to happen only in the one college, the one that you applied to. I hope this has given you a basic introduction to the admissions process at Cambridge. If you do have further questions, then please do send emails to the admissions office and we will do our very best to answer them.